A man was left in the hospital to die. The doctors couldn't figure out what was wrong with him. They had given up on him, and he too had given up on himself. Watch the video to the end. You don't want to miss anything. 1, 2, 3, 4. Hi, it's Tamika again, your accountability friend. Did you know that unresolved issues and unforgiveness can create stress in your life? Many of us suffer from childhood trauma because of unforgiveness. And the sad thing is that sometimes we don't even know. Some events trigger the pain of trauma, and this causes many of us to live painful lives. But I want to share a little on forgiveness, and I hope that you will not listen passively, but you will do your own research and practice these things that I'm about to share. Let's get right into it. You can never experience peace if you find it difficult to forgive. Thoughts of bitterness cannot create joy, no matter how much you try to convince yourself. If you do not let go of the past and everyone who has hurt you, you will continue to be miserable. And that is not what you want. You want to be able to experience peace and take control of your life. Many people struggle because of unforgiveness. And so it was with the man in the story. We have not delved into the story as yet, but that is where we are going, right? After he learned he was going to die, he broke down on the hospital bed. It was then he realized he had a lot of trauma. So he asked the nurse to call a certain person to the hospital. And the man gladly agreed to see him. But what he learned shocked him. And the pain he was carrying was childhood neglect and lack of love, which a lot of us struggle with. We don't even know that we have childhood trauma, but a lot of us have all these trauma inside of us, and it affects us even as we grow older. How was he to forgive his father for abandoning him the way he did? Now listen to this conversation between the son and his dad.
Son, I didn't abandon you. I didn't forsake you. I was in prison ever since I left you that night. I went to the store to get food for you, and the store got held up by criminals. They murdered the merchant. I was still hiding when the police came and they pinned the ordeal on me. They locked me up for years, and there was no family or anyone to help me. But I knew your mom would come to get you when she realized I was gone. I knew you would be all right. Oh, Dad. Dad, I'm sorry. I didn't know.
They both wept. 2 days later, the sick man was well again, and he and his dad reunited. Wow, what an awesome story. Many of us have a lot of bitterness inside of us because of what has happened to us in the past. And those persons who have wronged us in the past, right? In my previous video, I talked about letting go of some people because they are toxic, because they're not good for you, right? Letting them go also means that you have to forgive them, because you do not have any control over them, but you have control over the way that you allow them to make you feel. Sometimes it is good for us to find out the reason people treat us the way they do. Because many a times it is not what we think, but it is actually what has happened to them that allowed them to treat you the way they do. And when you find these things out, it doesn't mean that you are going to be reunited with them as this person in the story. Things don't always work out the same way for everybody, but there is always a lesson that we can take away. There's always something that we can learn from that in order for us to move forward in our own lives. Now listen to Howard as he shed a little more light on forgiveness. Don't go anywhere. Stay right here.
Hi Tamika, it's a pleasure to be on your channel today to discuss this wonderful topic of forgiveness. You may have heard the phrase before, to err is human, to forgive is divine. What then is forgiveness? Psychologists generally define forgiveness as a conscious, deliberate decision to release feeling of resentment or vengeance toward a person or group who has harmed or hurt you. Most of you at some time or another have experienced a situation where you have felt that someone you cared enough about has caused you pain, anger, sadness because of some kind of serious breach in your relationship. This could be due to innocent misunderstanding or a contrived betrayal. When someone has done you wrong, can you work it through with them and get the relationship going? Or has irreparable damage been done? What if your relationship is personal and intimate? Think about a parent, siblings, spouse, or a once dear friend. So to forgive brings about some amount of benefits, and I'm going to speak about five such benefits right now. The first one is, when you forgive someone, you forgive yourself. That may sound like a nice little catchphrase, but it is true. Bearing a grudge against someone who has hurt you is not just about what they have done to you, it's about what you have allowed to happen to you. Sometimes you can't help what happened to you in a relationship because you're just going along doing what you normally do. You don't always know that someone is angry with you, resentful of you, jealous of you, unless they tell you, and often they don't until there's a breaking point, often a betrayal, and it all comes out. When you forgive yourself, you allow resentment and hurt to be replaced by healing. You are taking an action that positively impacts your life and well-being. The next point is, forgiving gets you out of victim mode. Forgiveness breaks the bond that ties you negatively to another person. You can forgive without forgetting. What happened to you happened already. There is no denying that, and you should not try to pretend that everything is back to normal, because it isn't. There's a lot of times when it is just not back to normal. You may forgive someone and never choose to see them again. That's your choice, and all that is said and done, it's a matter of whether or not you can trust that person or set of circumstances again. No longer a victim, no longer controlled by negative anger, negative energies. You can focus on becoming stronger and establishing your own integrity or building your own character. The next one is, forgiveness frees you. As we see on this picture here, from a quote from Nelson Mandela, forgiveness liberates the soul, it removes fear. That's why it is such a powerful weapon. So it allows you to take your power back. The energy and emotion you have so deeply invested in a certain person or situation is now free to be moved to someone or something else that is positive for your growth and emotional, psychological, and physical health. You're no longer chained to an entity that snaps your energy and takes the life out of you. And freeing yourself may allow you to see this person or situation in a whole different light. Instead of focusing on all the negative, forgiving allows you to remember all of the positives that once were and probably still are there. So it is not always a negative situation. There may be some positive that can benefit you in the long run. The next one is forgiveness helps your health. Negative emotions rob your energy and takes a toll on your body, mind, and spirit. Anger, anxiety, depression, and undue stress generate a negative influence on your body. These can cause elevated blood pressure, heart rate, and a feeling of being out of control. The intensity can run the gamut from mild discomfort to very intense physical reaction. Having someone you care about at odds with you is at the very least very uncomfortable. Most of us can relate to a feeling of relief when a weight is lifted from your shoulders. You're breathing and you breathe a sigh of relief. Can you imagine trying to climb Mount Everest with a big boulder, a 50-pound boulder, and strapped to your back? Hallelujah. That does really drains your energy. So, and the final one is forgiveness helps you to move forward on a spiritual path. Forgiveness encourages compassion. You are able to relate to others as part of human experience. You feel for others as you do for yourself, emotionally and psychologically. Unencumbered, you can begin to put the past behind you. Forgiveness is an act of kindness and goodness. It is a path to peace.
Thank you, Award, for those highlights. A lot of times, these people who have hurt you have no clue that they are causing you pain. Yet you spend your whole life in misery. Let them go so that you can grow and live your best life. Remember, be resilient. You got this. I am proud of you.